better than expected. You know, was really looked at as a team that would be sitting down 9th, 10th in the standings, and the fact that they have been taking down some pretty surprising opponents is impressive.
Well, we've got Renekton, Olaf, Thresh, Rel, Seraphine, and Udyr all banned away, and that means that Immortals are going for Hecarim as their first choice, their priority pick here in the draft.
I like that Revenge flashes Aurelia, and then Alphari flashes Kennen, the matchup that they had last time. So both of them seeing it, both of them like, yeah, okay, you got me last time, I get it. So Alphari having some fun with it too, but it will be the Azir as the first pick here for TL, securing the mid lane there for Jensen. Insanity loves Orianna. You know, he really is one of the guys who plays that a ton. So I would expect to just see him go towards the Orianna. This is one of the most common matchups in pro play. Yes, Corki is coming a little bit back more in the meta. There's things like Victor popping up, but really throughout this split has been about Orianna, Azir, and Syndra, right? And kind of just rotating through those three.
Well, the Senna is the immediate lock-in here for Immortals, and it looks like they're going to go ahead, lock in both parts of the fasting Senna combo there with her and Tahm Kench. Yeah. They will leave the Orianna still as a possibility, but that does mean TL will have the opportunity to ban it away here in the second ban phase. Team Liquid still has one more pick to do before those second round of bans come in. They're hovering over the set here for quite a while. They already have two very powerful offensive options here with the Azir and the Kaisa. So they're going to go with some playmaking instead and grab the Blitzcrank.
So Blitzcrank is seen as, I don't want to call it counter, but an answer to the Senna TK bot lane. It's one of these things where, in theory, what's supposed to happen here is you're supposed to be able to force a thick skin there from the TK and then ult it off and burst him down, right? You can also remove the shields from the Senna ultimate. So it's really about that interaction and the fact that Tahm Kench, without that extra shielding from his E, is not supposed to be able to survive, and is able to be targeted by this duo. So we'll see if they can pull it off. Tahm Kench is very consistent, whereas Blitzcrank to me is always feast or famine, right? It's can you hit the hooks? Can you actually nail those on the priority targets? Because if you're not landing hooks consistently, the champion really offers an incredibly low amount to the team.
Let's not mince words here. He's a cannon minion. If you miss the hooks, he's a cannon minion with less range.
Cannon minions can shoot. He can't.
Okay, yeah, he's a cannon minion that lost his gun.
Cannon minion that's out of ammo.
He's just riding around on a cart. He doesn't do anything. So we really need to see those hooks hit for this pick to pay off. And if they do hit, it's great. You're talking about being able to bust the shield, but there's also just the matter of fact that Tahm Kench's Devour is point-blank range. If you pull a target away from Tahm Kench, he can't save them any longer, unless maybe he has a flash to get there in time and catch up. But there is a lot of opportunity to punish the pick. Now, the bans have come through, and it's a lot of solo lanes, my friend. It's Syndra, Victor, Camille, and Gangplank all banned out. Team Liquid, we still need to see their top lane, and we need to see their jungle. I expect to see the top laner be the 5th pick here, so the jungler probably number 4. Hey, there it is. You talked about this guy a little bit earlier. Will they actually lock him in here? Is this our 7%? There it is.
Interesting. So we are going to get that pick right here coming through from Santorin, the J4. It is his first play of the year on it. He didn't play it at lock-in. He didn't play it in the regular season so far. It has been popping up a little bit. As I said in the last game, it's around 7% presence in pro play, something like that. Obviously, there is the threat of those early ganks. That's something that we haven't seen much this year from Santorin, but was pretty effective last year. But it is interesting that TL banned out Victor and Syndra. It's like so conspicuous that they're leaving up Orianna, which makes me feel like they really want to play that matchup. Picking the Azir, banning everything but your opponent's most played is like, please play the Orianna. And I wonder if Insanity is still going to be willing to pick it, or if he's going to go for something a little bit different, something a little bit atypical here. Could work. Ziggs coming through. So there you go. It's going to be a pretty different look here. Very heavy wave clear mage. You do have the ability to poke out the Azir sometimes. If you can be on point with those Qs, you can throw them beyond, obviously, the melee minions and out of range of that Azir to try to harass him. It should be the Gragas top here for Immortals, and it will be Alphari answering with the Gnar. So pretty interesting stuff here. A lot of dive coming through, and Ziggs, though he's obviously not a diver, he does have the ultimate that can reach backline. right? So really what this composition wants to do is it wants to send Gragas, send Hecarim into the backline on top of the Azir, on top of the Kaisa. The Ziggs ultimate is coming over the top on these CC targets. The Senna ultimate is coming over the top to be able to give the additional damage and shielding, and it's all about that dive. Whereas TL is more of the front-to-back style of fighting, of looking for picks. You know, they can play to the side lane with Alphari and try to control vision in that quadrant of the map, try to catch members from Immortals in transition, you know, using the Jarvan, using the Blitzcrank to move around as this two-man squad and try to play a little bit more aggressive, get in your opponent's face and find these angles that they maybe aren't expecting.
And both of these teams feel like their drafts have put them in a spot where if they can get a small lead early on, they can snowball it very effectively. I mean, Jarvan and Blitzcrank are great for finding picks and punishing anybody who's out of position. Tahm Kench can use the Abyssal Voyage to instantly turn the numbers in your favor. There's opportunities for either one of these squads, so I want to see how heavily they invest in getting those early leads to set them up for that.
Oh, and this is actually really interesting already. You see that they are moving out as a 5-man squad, but also Revenge has Comet. So this is likely going to be just full-on AP Gragas. Of course, you could do some sort of a hybrid build, but generally speaking, if they're going to go tank, they do play Grasp. They have a 5-man stack here, hoping that Blitzcrank is going to look for an invade. I just think this is such a smart answer. Anytime you're playing against a Blitz, you can do the same thing in solo queue, stack 5 men in the bush. If he face checks it, he can be in a lot of trouble.
He's content to just sit here in Pixel Brush for now. Unlike solo queue, having Blitzcrank on your team doesn't mean that you have to just mindlessly invade the enemy jungle every single time, no matter what. And I say that as someone who always wants to invade the enemy jungle no matter what. But it's not happening this time around. Team Liquid is not willing to place that much risk on a level 1 play, so Immortals will stay grouped up here, and everything seems to be pretty fine. Now, one thing I do want to point out and specifically ask you about, Azael, is here this game we're seeing Jensen take the lethal tempo on Azir. And once again, the conversation of Azir's Keystone has to come up because lethal tempo provides a lot of damage in late game team fights, and in lane, it's good against a melee opponent. But Ziggs is about the furthest thing from a melee opponent.
Yeah, so it is interesting. You know, there's generally two schools of thought. Sometimes you will do this if you think that the lane is just going to be, you know, a snooze fest. It's just going to be AFK farming because you want to have a more powerful rune for later on in the game. I think that's a viable option. The other way of looking at it is you try to put down your soldier, you poke with the Q, and then you utilize the attack speed to try to contest the push. So if you think that you're going to get constantly shoved in, you can go lethal tempo, not to trade, but to poke your opponent, proc the lethal tempo, and then use the bonus attack speed to kill off the minions.
Well, we'll track how this goes for Jensen as we move forward. But both junglers are right now starting on the bottom side of the map, clearing through things here a little bit. You can see some question mark pings coming out from the red side here as Team Liquid is saying, all right, we can see Hecarim over there at his red buff camp.
And we have to touch him because Xerxe did actually steal his blue. So he actually started on the enemy blue. They went with that early invade. And weren't able to steal away that blue buff. So, you know, taking the blue buff away, you know, retreating back to his side. Santorin was doing a solo start on the red buff. Jarvan is one of the slower meta junglers as far as the clear speed. I think that is one of the things that does keep him out of the pro meta as far as being a really high presence pick. It's one of the reasons he is not as popular. So Xerxe going to be able to steal that away, is going to do a full bot side clear, and we'll see if he can actually get over to his blue buff and defend that, because taking the Krugs does mean it's going to be a lot longer before you actually get up there, and he's not going to recall. He's going to run straight up likely to that top side of the map, so very likely should be a 3 buff start here for him unless Santorin really wants to invade.
Santorin is moving forward now. Scuttle Crab is alive, so he's just hanging out up here, wants to make sure he secures that. Probably expecting his opponent to be making his way up here to secure the blue. So Santorin won't put himself at risk, but by grabbing this Scuttle Crab, he's removing the extra resources that might be claimable by Xerxe here. The blue buff has been started. Xerxe has been seen by the Scryer's Bloom. Santorin just trying to maintain a threatening enough position to at least get the buff to reset. Makes Xerxe back up too far. And with Revenge rotating over, Santorin doesn't have a whole lot else he can do here. He's willing to trade away his time for his opponent's time. Throws the flag over the wall here, trying to see the Gromp. I don't think the steal's coming through. No, it is not. So Santorin's still level 3, his opponent level 4. Nice pull here from the bottom lane, 2v2. CoreJJ wanting to walk away. Flash is out. Destiny and Raes continuing the chase here in the 2v2, but now it's Destiny. He's lost the thick skin, and it's first blood to Tactical.
I mean, I don't understand why Raes wasn't actually attacking back. It felt like he was playing so defensive. He was such a big wave. I feel like Raes at full health, when CoreJJ is flashed away, already used his Ignite, why is Raes not stepping up to contest this more? They do use the minion dematerializer, it looked like that. They get that hook down. But then this is where I'm kind of confused. You know, Raes, your support is getting shot by the enemy AD, and I felt like he could be stepping forward and playing this more aggressively to try to push them off his support. Instead, you know, he's just fully retreating, and it felt like allowed Tactical to just have a free path to get a kill on Tahm Kench there, and, you know, not a good start from this bot lane. When you have the farming Tahm Kench, and he gets too far behind, it's so tough for him to actually get access to the minion wave and be able to farm that consistently. You know, Tactical now gets first blood. CoreJJ can look for hooks on him, and they can try to continue to punish, and this could spell pretty bad things here for the Immortals bot lane.
Oh yeah, Team Liquid up almost 1,000 gold now, thanks to grabbing that here nice and early. CoreJJ will do what CoreJJ does. He's going on the roams, and on a champion like Blitzcrank, that is very, very scary stuff. Yes, Ziggs has the ability to stay at a far enough range to avoid most of the threat here, but that will not be able to stop CoreJJ from clearing out some of this vision, maintaining control over neutral territory here for the side of his team. His jungler does have the farm lead right now, so he's ahead in the tempo. You can see he hasn't even gone back to base yet. Santorin only has items in inventory that he started the game off with. His opponent did go back, grab the Sheen to accelerate his clear, but Santorin is sticking around for a long time, just trying to maximize how many camps he's getting before he heads back.
They're getting big farm advantages, really. When you look across the map, you look at top lane, it's 18 CS up, and Revenge actually had his base potentially delayed there by Santorin. Now he's getting zoned off the minion, so he's actually just going to lose all of these, and he will end up being that far down. Insanity is moving up here with Xerxe. Xerxe is being put down in the farm. Bot lane is now very far behind in farm. And things are going pretty bad for Immortals in the beginning of this game. You know, Revenge looked like he wanted to move towards, you know, that AP style build. It will be Tabby's as his first buy, which is going to be very effective against both Jarvan and the Gnar. But it already means he's pretty far on the back foot, and it's going to be a tough hole to climb out of, as TL traditionally is one of the best teams from ahead. You know, they are a team that really does choke you out on vision, and champions like Blitzcrank are incredibly difficult to actually play against when you don't have vision, when you lose control of the map, because they're so threatening from fog.
Raes takes the Blast Comb back to the bottom lane. Destiny now hitting level 5, so there is a level advantage here for Immortals down in the 2v2. CoreJJ still only level 4 thanks to roaming around as much as he does. But I don't think this should turn into a big brawl here anytime soon between these two. CoreJJ might go fishing for a hook, but with the minion wave already here, there's not really a lot of wins to be found in a situation like that. Back up in the top side, Revenge has teleported back into the lane after shopping. Went for the plated steel caps immediately, even if he's going for a greater overall AP theme in his build. Like you mentioned earlier, the steel caps are an essential part of surviving this lane.
Yep, but he is in that survival mode, and for now, with the bot lane pushing towards TL, they were pretty comfortable to be defensive. They didn't have any vision on this bot side, so you know they weren't going to look for any fight, knowing the Hecarim could be in the area. With Santorin now down on this bottom side, reclaiming some vision, they can look to start to play a little bit more aggressive, and this is where Immortals now need to realize their position gets a little bit difficult, because the wave is pushing away from them, and they are at a disadvantageous position. When you compare the buys of the Tahm Kench to what Tactical has, it's not close at all.
Yeah.
You know, the buy was a Ruby Crystal compared to the Noon Quiver plus an additional Longsword. So the combat power is way higher right now for TL if there is any sort of an all-in, and Immortals have got to play it slow and steady.
But does Kaisa have a healing cookie? Because Tahm Kench does.
That's
so he'll
true.
be able to survive.
He can enjoy that when he's dead in the well.
Yes, and then
Have a
sell
nice
it for what, 25 gold when he respawns or something? Well, they really don't want that to be the reality. They would much rather just shove this wave up, go back to base, maybe shop if they got anything to buy. Raes will grab a little damage onto the turret there, man, but those plates are still so damn tanky. Immortals continues to fall behind a little bit in terms of the gold. Raes at least grabbing some poke there. Destiny with the Devour, trying to keep his AD carry safe. I love how Tactical is just going in there full Chad mode, 1v2, trading even with the enemy AD carry. His support is all the way on the other side of the map. CoreJJ is nowhere nearby. He's dropping down wards so that Shelly can be taken safely.
Yeah, you like the confidence, but it does get a little bit risky because they have more sustain on the side of the Senna, utilizing the Q to heal up and to trade. So if tactical it's too low and is forced to actually base and can't pick up the waves, then of course that trading won't really have been worthwhile. It looks like it's going to be a scrap up on this top side, though. They do have CoreJJ in the area, so TL should get this, but now you can see tactical is low and is potentially going to be zoned off these minions. He's pretty far back off that bottom lane turret if you look at the mini-map. So that earlier trading makes it so he can't really walk up anymore.
Destiny has gone behind enemy lines as CoreJJ shows up. But the problem is that Catfish has left the building. Senna stands alone. Destiny's stuck underneath the turret. Alphari continues moving forward, looking for more damage here. Tactical grabs one kill. Alphari grabs the other. What an absolute disaster for the Immortals bottom lane.
Yeah, Destiny even committing his flash there, which he didn't use when he initially died off. He even tried to flash under the turret to kill Tactical. Doesn't get the kill. Doesn't even force the ultimate or the heal. Tactical confident enough that he wasn't going to go down. And now Team Liquid is ridiculously ahead on this bottom side. And you go for this farming Tahm Kench, fasting Senna to be able to set up a position where you have a true frontline champion. But he is going to be paper. You can see them ulting in, trying to set up. But when you go for that, it's such a hard committal to the play that Alphari has that TP to the pink ward that was over in the little alcove there. He's chasing down Raes. CoreJJ just goes back to actually peel for Tactical, and you can see him flashing in. Couldn't get the W off, but Tactical had the heal available and could have used that if he needed. So now you're down sums. You died again. And Tactical is going to be so far ahead here. We'll have a very early mythic item in this Tahm Kench, who's going to be able to get ulted by the Blitzcrank to remove shields, and is going to be facing a very strong Kaisa and Azir, is likely going to have a really tough game.
And using that flash is even more tragic because we have perfect information, so we can see that no matter what he did, even if he had more damage to be dealt, Tactical still had heal.
Yeah.
There's no world where Destiny manages to get that kill on the Team Liquid AD carry. CoreJJ going for the pull there, ends up not hitting the mark. Destiny with a bit of a panic devour, but is not required. Team Liquid still enjoying themselves a 2,500 gold lead, not even 12 minutes into this game. And honestly, with the clock about to hit 11:30, I do want to point out neither side has gone for a Drake yet. The only neutral objective that has been taken is Santorin getting that first Rift Herald. Still has about half the timer left on that for where they want to use it. But look at the health of the Tier 1 turret. 1 or 2 more auto attacks from anything, and Shelly's charge will kill this.
Yeah, I mean, even at this point, Shelly would probably kill it. Usually at full health does like a little bit over 2 plates, 2.5 or so. So probably could knock it down whenever he does want. Another thing to check in on is it looks like now it wasn't going to be AP. He is just going towards full tank on the Gragas, and I think that the Comet was just more for the laning phase. It feels like having that against a ranged champion there to try to have a little bit stronger of a time in that 1v1. But TL are setting up for this dive potentially here on Insanity. If he steps a little bit to that top side, he would be in danger, but playing intelligently to the bottom end.
Okay, Insanity stays safe. He gets back. Shelly is summoned up here in the mid lane instead of topside. Now, they're not going to get the entire turret here with this one, but they will get it down to 1 plate. Meanwhile, Immortals doing some similar work up here in the top lane with Destiny and Raes taking out the first couple. Doesn't look like they'll have enough damage to get plate 3 on this wave.
Yeah, they probably won't get it on this wave, but still not too bad considering your opponents use the Rift Herald and are getting about the same amount of gold from it that you're just getting for free. Plus, you're actually denying those waves to it. And that, to me, is just TL, not necessarily making a bad play, but placing an incredible amount of importance on removing the mid lane Tier 1 against Ziggs. That's something that we haven't talked about in a long time because this champion just hasn't really been in meta. But when you are playing against these incredible wave clear mages, the Anivias, the Ziggs, removing this kind of safety zone where they have this Tier 1 and they can just farm and defend that infinitely is so important. So they commit the Rift Herald mid to really get that turret low and hopefully be able to return there later and finish that tower off so that Ziggs doesn't really have a safe place to play on the map, because Ziggs without a tower, it's so easy to attack this champion, to come at him from different angles, with the Gnar, the J4, even this Blitzcrank, and really make his life miserable.
Well, they've just about got that turret down. It is so close to falling over there. 1 plate's worth of health remaining on the thing, while the plates only stand for the next 20 seconds. So after those fall, it should be rather simple for Team Liquid to pick that up. In the meantime, Insanity will keep mounting the defense. He is down 20 farm compared to his opponent. Jungle is very even. Top lane, an even larger advantage here for the Team Liquid side, as Alphari is getting nowhere near close to solo killed in this one, Azael.
He's looking really good, just playing a calm, solid game here, getting small advantages over time here in that 1v1. It has been a pretty low farm game, high action in the bot lane though. It is surprising to see, both sides, not even at that 10 CS per minute mark in a game with not that many kills, but Revenge here.
Oh, Revenge! He throws out the ulti, it's just a wide whiff. CoreJJ does pull him back and take him down, but it's Immortals who get the first turret of the game and the bonus gold therein, up in the top side, as Jensen continues applying the pressure to Insanity here at mid. Bouncing bombs thrown out, no big deal on that one, but good on Immortals for recognizing the opportunity to get some extra gold back in their pockets.
Yeah, it's a nice bit of pressure up to that top side. They took the time earlier when we saw TL dropping the Rift Herald mid to knock off some of those turret plates up on top side. So the return up there does get them that first tower. TL was able to answer, though, down in that bottom lane, and this mid-tier 1 is still getting incredibly low with CoreJJ and Tactical showing up. Maybe they could finally finish it off, but Ziggs does really have such good wave clear, and the auto attack range of Kaisa is fairly low, so there's a little bit of hesitation from TL to try to commit to that, because if you go too far forward, you can get satcheled into the tower, and Xerxe is there for the follow-up.
All right, Immortals, you guys are down 3,000 gold. It's been that way for a few minutes now. We'll see if they find the opportunity to come back into the game with any big plays, but it's Team Liquid who continues commanding control over the neutral states of the game, going after the Rift Herald here for the second time. That first one did get about 80% of the HP from the Tier 1 turret. You mentioned the importance of taking down the Tier 1. If nothing else, they now have Shelly that they can summon there to take it out. They could use it up here in the top lane to guarantee that turret as well. Either one of the remaining Tier 1 turrets dies instantly to this summon.
Yep, sitting in a pretty good position, and TL playing out what is a pretty slow game, but has been consistent advantages gained for them. And they have had really strong early games. That's something that they have actually maintained. When looking at the early game stats, they have been up near, if not at the top of the league, really every single week. So despite the fact that they haven't picked up as many wins as they want, it's more a problem with how they're converting those advantages and less about how they are actually, if they're able to gain them. And we heard Santorin talking about this in an interview this weekend, where he was saying, he feels like if there is a good way to lose, it is losing because of your mistakes, not because of your opponent's outplays. And that's how he felt about their position in the league right now, is that all these games were within their own control, and as long as they can clean it up, they feel still that they are the better team.
They aren't systematically outclassed, they're just making errors. And by making the errors, they're learning what not to do. Good Devour there from Destiny, saving Raes right as he gets hit by the pull from CoreJJ. So Blitzcrank's pull ends up being nothing more than a little bit of projectile damage, and Immortals keeps their 80 carry nice and safe. But back up on the top side, Insanity has rotated away from his permanent job of defending mid lane and is now applying the pressure to the top lane Tier 2. Back in the mid, though, Santorin is ready. With the next wave, they may just try to make a dive onto the Immortals duo here in mid lane.
Yeah, you can see that Revenge is also aware of this. Notice how he's actually playing halfway between mid and bot, trying to be in position to respond if anything does actually end up happening. But for now, it doesn't look like they're committing to it just yet. Now they are going to drop it, and could be trouble, baby.
Here we go. CoreJJ with a pull onto the top Kench. They recognize they got to be going after him. Cataclysm comes in. And see you later, Destiny. Team Liquid having to get out now. Nice counterattack showing up from Xerxe, or is it? Tries to go in, ends up getting flashed away. CoreJJ, no, Revenge! Oh, he misses the cask again. CoreJJ still on the run, will die. So it doesn't end up costing Revenge anything, but this accuracy must be improved.
Yeah, he's got to be able to step it up on that. So important to be on point with this as a Gragas, but they're going to get more. They're actually threatening this mid lane turret, but Alphari is behind them. He has his Mega ready, and Jensen's TPing in.
It's a big play coming out of TL right here, right now. Santorin going to be killed at the very start of the fight if he's not anymore careful. Alphari doesn't find a lot of value here out of the Gnar ulti, but Jensen's got the kill into Raes. Revenge walking away with 50 HP. Jensen trying to outplay and stay alive, and he will do just that. It is a 2-for-1 trade here so far for TL. They had to use Jensen's TP to make it happen, but they get the fight, and they send Immortals back home.
That was really important for TL because if they don't go for that play, they're losing the Dragon to Xerxe soloing that. They're losing that mid lane tier 1 to the Ziggs damage, who has incredible damage against those turrets. The passive auto does so much, plus you have the execute with the satchel. Here is the initial play, though, one more time. Santorin dropping the Shelly. They know the turret will get killed off by the charge, so he just goes straight for the members. Destiny flashes, but he flashes right into that knockup. Santorin knocking both of them up. They ult off of that gray health there from CoreJJ, and you can see the power of that Ziggs ult doing about 50-60% of Tactical's health. As Xerxe comes around, Tactical is forced to actually flash out. Revenge hits the ultimate on Tactical, but doesn't actually finish him off, and Revenge does have to then chase in, finish off that tower, is able to do just that. But as Xerxe is finishing off the tower, TL look for the re-engage. They have Jensen TPing in, Alphari has Mega ready, so in he goes, trying to scoop multiple members against the wall, not able to actually connect with that, but TL still much stronger with their fighting force here. Jensen retreats from Xerxe, able to survive as Alphari was able to kill off Revenge at the bottom.
Well, Immortals are showing some signs of life here with those punishes, but the gold continues to favor TL. Insanity is doing everything he can here on this little Ziggs to save these damn turrets. The top lane tier 1 surviving with what looks like, what, 5% HP? It can't be much more than that. A stiff breeze will knock the thing over. Jensen's up here on the top side. He's got all of his buddies here with him. The horse tries to get out. Xerxe is on the run, but the last stab from the Sand Soldiers takes him out. Flash out from Insanity to escape the Gnar ult. Jensen goes into the stasis, staying alive. Revenge throws out the ulti. Nicely timed on that one. Shut down credit over to Ziggs. While you've got a 2v2 breaking out in the river as Raes is able to win out in that one. Looking to find the rest of the damage here into CoreJJ. One more auto attack to take him down. Double kill for the Immortals marksman as they 2v2 Tactical and CoreJJ.
Yeah, able to kill off Tactical and CoreJJ, who were moving up, and then Revenge that time nailing the ultimate. The timing was there on Jensen coming out of the Zonias, so they get 3 kills for themselves. Still very far behind as far as the gold does go, but they are battling back in a lot of these fights. Going down swinging here as Immortals try to look for this fight. You know, Xerxe getting picked off, but they want to re-engage, so he ults in onto Jensen. On the bottom side, it was Tactical off by himself. He's trying to go for the big play in what was actually initially a 1v2. By the time CoreJJ gets here, Tactical is basically already dead. It was a good sidestep on the ultimate from him, but he does get finished off, and that is Tactical just getting a little bit too hypey, it feels like. You know, opting into that, maybe could have played it a little bit more safely, tried to kite up towards CoreJJ and make that more of a true 2v2 instead of, you know, being almost dead by the time CoreJJ is able to enter the fight.
And Tactical fallen over there. That is his first death of the game. So still sitting on 2-1-2, but very important stuff for Raes being able to grab the money from that and get himself into a better spot here in the game. Eclipse completed for the Senna. Turbo Chem Tank ready to go on Mr. Thomas Kench down here. That's a double Chem Tank composition from the side of Immortals, but it's Team Liquid who have decided to go for the Baron at 22 minutes. They've got Azir, they've got Kaisa, they've got a ton of damage, they've got the Baron. But what is the punish coming out from IMT? Santorin is stuck in the pit, tries to go over the wall with the EQ combo, and the man is out. Don't really know what the Devour was for at the very end. Not a lot of a chance for Immortals to do anything here. Huge call from TL.
Yeah, they have so much damage. When you look at this, Leandri's Azir is going to destroy it. You have Kaisa already on 2 items, Kraken Slayer plus PD, so you have the bonus attack speed that entire time. And they shred through that Baron so incredibly quickly. Immortals tried to go for the re-engage, and it was a great combo from Revenge. Body Slam Flash, he ulted Santorin back in, but they just didn't have the damage in place to actually finish him off before he could get out of the pit. So TL get away with that, only losing their mid lane tier 1 for it. And we'll see how much gold they can actually get on the map with this Baron buff, because they are in such a position of power.
Whoa, Santorin ends up feeling something is amiss here. Steps back right as Immortals fire off their skill shots from the brush. They wanted to set the trap. They wanted to be ready for TL. And TL having this Baron buff here for the next 2 minutes. The next Drake spawns in 50 seconds, so they will be wearing purple still when it comes time to fight for this objective. And if they take that, they will then be on soul point, since Immortals has not responded to any of the Drake stuff so far. Bottom lane, the tier 2 turret being worked on now. Team Liquid continuing to push up. CoreJJ with a nice hook. Destiny keeps Raes alive. A lot of damage coming in towards Team Liquid now as Santorin's going to be taken down first. TL again, the victim of their own mistakes. Tactical goes over the wall with the ultimate. He's going to stay alive, but a 1-for-0 favoring the side of Immortals is a huge benefit to them in stopping this Team Liquid war machine.
It can slow down a lot of this Baron potentially here. CoreJJ still hanging around with Jensen and Tactical, so they have their main carries still alive. Alphari sieging the base, but did use his flash to actually escape in that previous play. So they do have to play a little bit careful. But you can see that both Raes and Insanity are mid lane. They are trying to make their way over towards this dragon, but you have your squishy carries off by themselves, and this does feel a little bit dangerous. You want the Tahm Kench, you want the Gragas with these guys to keep them safe. So no one really in this 3-man Immortal squad can actually face check. No one can walk over and see if the dragon is happening. So as a result, it looks like they're just going to go up towards the top side, continue to farm, and they will be giving up this soul point.
Okay, soul point time for Team Liquid. Now, granted, it is Cloud, so that's one of the ones that people tend to value a little bit less. But when you look at some of the champions available for the side of Team Liquid, Azir being able to go in and initiate and then have massive movement speed after dropping the wall is very nice. Gnar jumping in for a massive AoE CC, then being fast for the follow-up. Kaisa being able to do the same thing with her ulti and then evade some of the
Jarvan
afterwards.
Dropping
There's a lot of
running in a circle.
Yes! Use your ultimate and run in a circle.
See how many laps you can get done inside the Cataclysm.
One of the most fun things in League of Legends is running fast, and Cloud Soul lets you do that, so
One thing I will say is that I always feel like people really overlook the passive move speed and hyper-focus on the burst of move speed on ultimate, which is the fun part, right? It is the most fun part of it, but 10% flat move speed is so big. You know, that's as much or more than boots give you in a lot of cases. So it can be really, really powerful in a lot of situations, right? And that is something that is just valuable across the board. You know, you think about supports and you know, emphasizing getting early tier 2 boots in a lot of cases. Pro players are going to make use out of that move speed, not only to kite out and chase down opposing members, but to dodge skill shots. Everything just becomes a little bit more difficult when your opponents are that fast.
And to put this into numbers for everybody who might be doubting that it's as valuable as boots are, think about like the average move speed is 325. Boots add 45 to that, so you're up to 370. 10% of 370 is 37. 37 versus 45, you're 8 off of a boot. Who's going to count 8? Nobody. It's a small number. Alphari gets himself away, half HP still. And Immortals lose their bottom lane tier 3 turret. That means that the next time TL wants to make a big push towards the base, they've already got an opening, Isaac. Things are getting scarier and scarier now for the IMT squad.
Yeah, Immortals does feel like they're kind of bleeding out a bit. They've been unwilling to contest at any of these dragons, and now they're going to be in this situation where, I mean, just look at the vision on what would be Immortals' path towards the dragon, right? Going through their own red side jungle, there was, what, 8 wards there? More? Something like that?
A bunch.
You know, there's so much vision from Team Liquid, and as Immortals, you've got to be able to clear out all of this, reestablish vision in your own jungle, you know, prior to this dragon, and that is going to be a difficult job for them to pull off because they have to go for this no matter what. You know, you also touched on the open inhibitor down in that bottom lane. So for TL, you could make the call, all right, we're just going to push top and actually, you know, even push bot potentially and just try to attack the base while they go for this one Cloud Dragon, right? There's not a lot of value for Immortals in one dragon, whereas if you give it up, you give over not just the one dragon, you give over the permanent soul buff.
Okay, Immortals, we got to find some sort of a way for you guys to stand up to this because Team Liquid's advance just keeps getting more and more powerful. Immortals, level 15 here on both of their solo laners, so just a little bit away from those big level 3 ultis. Insanity here on the Ziggs will have a ton of damage potential if he can land all those skill shots in a team fight, but it's up to the rest of the squad to lock everybody down and put him in a spot where he can facilitate that sort of firepower. Now, Revenge, we're also keeping an eye on him to make sure the barrels are in the right spot. He had a couple bad ones, he had a couple good ones, and these could be critical for determining how this game is going to go. Team Liquid still commanding a very powerful 7K lead. Immortals must be respectful of this. They cannot take a quote-unquote fair fight. It's got to start off on their terms if they want a chance.
So obviously Raes is functioning as the support this game, but when you compare the marksman itemization, it's just not close. You know, IE, PD, plus the Kraken Slayer compared to just the 2 items and the Lord Dominic's, I think feels a little bit odd to me here. I think it is to deal with the front line, but then if you wanted to deal with front line, you probably should have just gone for the Kraken Slayer Rageblade build, which would deal with that, I think, a lot more effectively. So a little bit not a fan of this build, and you can see Alphari pushing that bot lane, and Immortals trying to force something here potentially.
Well, they've already lost their bottom lane inhibitor. This is a win for Team Liquid so far. They will disengage the 4v4 up here in mid lane at the same time. Alphari continues the pressure, and this is Team Liquid having better macro control than their opponents have. They know they were able to avoid the punish from IMT in the 4v4. They know how strong Alphari is down there in the 1v1. 2-0-2 on the Gnar is just a recipe for success. And TL, Santorin and Tactical can duo this Baron. You can see it's already lost. Yeah, it's already lost a third of its HP with only 2 men on it. Now you got Jensen summoned up here to continue to provide the firepower. 3K, 2K, 1K, done K. Red team secures the Baron, and now they're going to keep on with the fight. CoreJJ tanking the damage here in the front lines. Big Senna ulti coming through. Tactical getting himself away here with the killer instinct, flashing over the wall, staying alive. Santorin now tanking up here on the front line. Jensen throws out the soldiers, looking to fight. Alphari grabbing a killing spree now. Ziggs ulti coming out, but it won't find a kill here just yet. Jensen takes out Revenge. Xerxe still alive. Raes coming around from the side. What in the world was that interaction? He slammed the man right into the wall, terrain on top of it. Xerxe ends up grabbing a killing spree on Santorin. It is a 1-for-3. Team Liquid take the fight, and they take the Baron.
And they're up 10K nearly off the back of that fight. That is huge for Team Liquid. They just played the map so well. Gragas cannot contest Gnar in the side lane without a turret behind him. That tower was already gone. So they lock Revenge in this losing 1v1. They take down the inhibitor, and they just stay around the Baron. Because when you have Azir and Kaisa, it's always a threat to just burn it down. So Team Liquid stay in the area. They force Immortals to try to respond, but it's too little too late. Now Raes going to get chased down and taken out.
Oh my god, Raes with the free death in mid lane and the follow-up kill as Destiny tries to save him. This is a massive error from these two that may just cost the entirety of the game right here.
Yeah, it could be the end for them. The Baron buff was already going to be really difficult to withstand. And now Immortals in a 3v5, down 10,000 gold. And they have got everything working against them.
And I want to make sure I clarify, it's not like that was the play that lost the game. They're really far behind, but getting caught there means you have no chance of being able to defend. Even with the Ziggs, even with this massive wave clear. It is now a 3v5 still for another 10 seconds. Immortals must try to maintain some sort of defensive perimeter around this Nexus. But the inhibitors are falling. The last one is about to crumble. Tactical rotating up to the top side to guarantee double super minions spawning in every single lane. And now it's Nexus turrets and Nexus turrets alone. Team Liquid still trying to fight these guys as Immortals step away from the turrets, trying to make some sort of a last-ditch defense. Nexus turrets are gone, though, and it's just the Nexus itself. Santorin starts off the fight. Xerxe with the counter-attack. Thick skin coming out. Jensen with the kill onto Revenge. Xerxe cannot find anything before he is taken down. Alphari will keep the remaining Immortals stuck inside the fountain. As much as they want to pad the stats, the minions won't allow it, and Team Liquid takes the win.
Nicely done by Team Liquid. Very clean game from them here today. They played it by the book. They played it smart, controlled. They controlled the objectives. They played the map better than their opponents. They won the fights when it did count, and they can be really happy with that here today, moving to 7-5 on the right path to climb their way back towards the top of the table.
Yeah, Team Liquid was looking pretty good here. There were a couple of errors, but again, I like the fact that you brought up Team Liquid's opinions on their own performance, how they're talking about, yeah, it's the errors that we're making that are causing us to lose games. It's not just our opponents being better than us. And even that game, you see like the 2v2 loss, Tactical and CoreJJ versus Raes and Destiny in the topside river during one of those big fights, was from Tactical limit testing. And I know normally we use limit testing as a way to politely describe inting, but this actually was limit testing. He was seeing if he could blow up the Senna in the 1v2 and manage to make it work. He gets him down to a third HP, but it's not enough. And seeing Team Liquid take chances like this and make sure that they're using these opportunities to push those limits and test what they're capable of, I think it is a good sign moving forward as this roster continues to improve.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think that this is the kind of game in which you really see TL shine, because they have so much individual skill where if the game is calm, against most teams in the league, they should just win by purely skill checking their opponents in lane, right? They should farm more. They should have better warding. They should have better skirmishing. And this is something that you really do expect when you create an all-star squad like Team Liquid has. You expect laning advantages. You expect pressure across the map. You expect that Santorin, the caliber of jungler that he is, will capitalize on that. And TL was able to do all of that here today.
TL getting it done, just making it so there was almost no avenue ever back into the game for Immortals, right? It felt like the gold just continued to bleed out and bleed out and bleed out. They got to the point they had control over the early Drakes as well, so it meant that Immortals didn't have a win condition available through that opportunity, and it was just good stuff from TL throughout the course of the game. We're heading to another break here now. We will be back very shortly with more LCS action. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.